Hello comrades, yes it's me, a Yorkshireman now living in Wales. Good news for everybody out there and bad news for some people. A few people in the comments, and it's happened quite a few times, have said I need to go back to Yorkshire. Well, good news is I'm not going back. Bad news for those who've asked me. Bad news is I'm still not going back. Anyway, thank you for watching previous videos comrades, and power to the people. So today, Size of Wales charity. Yes, I'm back on the trees again. Remember, we need to plant more trees in Uganda, said the Welsh Government, using our money. Not sure why. Anyway, so I started on this, and I think this is going to be part 3, and I will put the other links into the description of this video. In addition to that, if you need to know all the history of the correspondence to date, it's all on the site. What do they know? Just do a search for me or Ugandan trees or whatever else, or stop the video and look at the what is it now, the request number, and hopefully that should get you the information you need. Now, in terms of what I'm going to do differently this time, some of the documentation I'm going to put at the end of the video, but not all of it. So rather than me having to stop it and do various things, I'll just put at the end. And the reason I want to do all of that is it'll be a little bit smoother for me. In addition to that, I still don't want to get caught out by someone saying they think I'm misleading you. That's why I always like to use evidence. So I made a FOI request about mid-June 2025. Only now, yes, 3 or 4 months later, have I got the answer which says, we're not going to tell you anything. So I'll take you through what I've got to date. So let me just remind you. So the Welsh Government have admitted to me in writing that they held regular meetings, weekly or monthly, with the Size of Wales charity to talk about the progress. So at that point they also confirmed to me that they will raise with the Size of Wales charity my request for copies of the invoice and everything else. Now my reasons for that is I want to make sure that the money, public money, that's my money and your money, isn't being misused or wasted, or in my own experience it's not being used to further any criminal activity or undermine the culture in Uganda. Now I have actually already done a video where it would appear that they are undoing or undermining the culture in Uganda. So in other words, it's interference, which I totally disagree with. So what else did they say? Well, even though they did confirm, I then sent them a follow-up email. I said, so what happened then? And they just said, they said nothing. See, that's how it works these days with government. You have to give them credit for just ignoring the people who pay all the wages and everything else. So I then reinforced the fact that I was still concerned about it. And that was, I did that on the 31st of August, we need to look at the dates. And then at that point, I then asked for an internal review, because clearly they were messing about, and this happened in September 2025. So at this point I thought, right, okay, so internal review. So I did the internal review, and I also pointed out that the Welsh Government holds meetings with them, and they were going to ask, so clearly they can ask in the future, they could ask for me still to save any more time and effort wasted public money. So I now get to the confirmed bit. Yeah, we're going to do an internal review, and the person in charge of that is this bloke, is Andrew, I think it's Gorton, not sure how you pronounce it actually, hands up if I got it wrong, deepest apologies, and he's the Director of International Relations and Trade. So this man is a director, top of his game I should imagine, so I would not expect to see any mistakes in any of his documentation. Right, so I then get this letter back here, and 2nd of October, look at them moving swiftly. It's like a bird, like a jet, like Superman going through. They are so fast at doing things. Only 4 months later. 2nd of October. Internal review is now completed, and the interesting bit is blue arrow at the top. As your request relates to information that affects the environment. What? It falls to be considered under the Environmental Information Regulations 2004. Now, my memory would be that 2000, so these are United Kingdom regulations. So let's just consider this before we move on. So what he's saying is that the Welsh Government has legislative rights in Uganda Now, I'm not asking about any environmental issues in Wales, I'm asking about Uganda, but according to Andrew here, this legislation now reaches as far as Uganda. Now, you wouldn't have thought that. Now, I wonder if the Ugandans know that the UK legislation actually applies to them. Because according to this, it does. So they're sort of saying that they won't give me the information because of this particular act. Now, they could have told me that at the very beginning, so I somewhat suspect they might be trying to throw me off the track. Anyway, it then goes on to say, rather than the FOI Act, now they're two separate bits of legislation, so I don't really get that. But he's now mixing them up to say, well, you can't have one because you haven't asked for the other. But I still don't understand that, because the FOI Act in itself is UK-based legislation, so clearly that can't work in Uganda. Or maybe I can write to the Ugandan government and ask them for information about the tree project. You know, I might do that, Andrew. See what happens, shall we? At that point, it then goes on to say, red arrow, whilst the Welsh Government could seek the information from the third party, so they could, now they did promise, remember, to ask, and then that's disappeared for some reason, so again there must be something odd going on with that. And then it says, now we've got two bits, neither oblige. Now I know that. That's why governments and councils say you need to ask the charity, because the charity basically don't have to give you anything, but they'll still take our money and spend our money and potentially waste our money on futile projects rather than looking at the people back home. That's how I look at things. However, we then go down to the bottom and we've got the green arrow, and it says, following the review, I am satisfied that the information you requested, copies of invoices, contracts or work orders associated with the delivery of the project, right, is not held by the Welsh Government. Now that's interesting. It is held by the third party sides of Wales. Right, but they've also said that they have weekly meetings with them, and this is now becomes really important. It then goes on to say, you can shoo. I'm not upholding your complaint. Shoo, off you go. Bye, go on. Don't be a nuisance, off you pop. Even though I am paying part of his wage. And also, Andrew, don't forget, is contributing to this charity because it's his tax and everybody else who works in the government. So you would have thought that they'd be thinking, well, why is my tax I'm paying being sent to Uganda? And also, I didn't know that we had legislation control in Uganda. See, at that point, if I were working there, I'd be very surprised. Anyway, good news for Andrew. I have actually got some experience of managing projects that are quite big projects or small projects. Right, so he then goes on to say, bottom paragraph, red arrow. You may be interested to know, well, I'm always interested to know things, in addition to the monitoring arrangements. Right, let me just write. So this is great. So Andrew is confirming that they have monitoring arrangements, so this must happen at the weekly or monthly meetings. So this is how it works when you manage a project. You set out the project stipulations. You will achieve X, Y and Z by X, Y and Z. Dates, yeah, years or whatever if it's a long project. Now, according to this, they want to plant in Uganda, not Wales of course, 29 million trees by 2027. Right, so day one of the project and giving the money, you'd say, right, you will achieve X, Y and Z. That's what they'd say to whoever's managing the project, someone like me. And at that point I'd say, right, this is a documentation. I want each year or each week or each month an update, and I will keep this documentation. So it would say we have achieved like 1 million trees in the first year. Second year we've done X, Y and Z, and this is where the money's going with all the invoices. And you'd say, right, that's good. So year 5 comes, I then leave or somebody else leaves, and if we don't hold any documentation, then anybody can rock up and turn around and say, oh, good news is something went wrong and we've only done 3 million trees, but wait on, they've already done 5 million trees because the documentation confirms that for anybody else. So I don't know which project management school Andrew went to, but not to hold the documentation to then be able to monitor something it sort of means you can't monitor it, you see. All this sort of falls apart at times, doesn't it? Right, and then he goes on to say that I mean, this wording's so strong, stipulates that no part of the funding can be used for any kind of illegal activities. Well, to be honest, mate, how do you know if you don't keep the documentation? And if you're not willing to share it, by default, that means something is suspect. but I could be wrong. So to prove me wrong, just send us all the invoices and I'll happily sit down. I might even now think about writing to the Ugandan government also to tell them that PS, you're now under the Welsh government legislation system, because I think they might be surprised. Right, comrades, as I say, I'll link all the documents, they'll be at the end, but look for what do they know. And for the full in documentation, because I don't want to be accused of misleading people, and I hope everybody's okay, please tick, subscribe, leave a bit of a thumbs up and a comment, and well, I'll see you next time I do a video. Thank you.